Hello, we are back. Welcome to the Higher Frequency. I am your host, Mike Booth. Tonight, I thought I would do a little something different, and I would take us down a little bit of a rabbit hole tangent, if you would, on basically what is authority. So today we're going to talk about a topic that I have been kind of struggling with a little bit, just on general concepts. If you like what we're talking about and you have a comment and you'd love to join the chat, please down in the bottom, make sure you type it in. I will answer you as quick as I possibly can. I definitely love having these types of conversations, and I hope to have a guest who will basically come on and explain a few things to me. Right now, my concepts of authority are, it goes me, when I want to understand something, I go to my mom or to another figure, like let's say my friend Brian or my friend Angelo. I go to somebody that I consider more of an esteem than myself, like that knows more than me. And then from there, I think about who they take authority from. Like who would they consider a person worthy of understanding that they would go to and ask for help if they got into a need or distress that they needed to figure something out? Who would they go to? And then it kind of does like a weird, it kind of spins around, because some people will say that the higher authority will be the government. And then some people will say that the higher authority will be the church or a rabbi or a person of, let's say, distinguished ideals that are larger than oneself. That's the way I consider it. So if I was going for help, or if I needed somebody to speak with me on a topic, like let's say somebody was hurting somebody else and I wanted to jump in and intervene, what gives me the moral authority to say that I'm right in jumping in and trying to help squash a beef or stop people from arguing, or God forbid somebody's attacking somebody else? What gives me the right to jump in and do something about the situation that I'm witnessing? I think that there's a couple of factors that need to go in when you're talking about authority. The church or the fellowship or the people that you commune with, or your society as a whole, like your next door neighbor, the neighbor across from them. I think a lot of times we don't, at least I don't. I know two neighbors where I'm at right now. I know my next door neighbor and I know the one right across from me. Other than that, on this entire block, I couldn't tell you who anyone was down through there. Now, I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I feel like in today's society, we don't talk to each other like we used to do. I know my grandmother used to know everyone on her block. I mean, everyone, and so on and so on and so on. I think now we don't give each other the time of day. We pass each other, and if somebody stops you, you're like, and what do you want? Like, people are very short-sighted. They're very rude, and most people don't really want to deal with you. So an authority needed to be made when things overlap and people have issues. So I find it weird when society sets rules and standards and people don't understand how to utilize them or even what's going on. So I thought today we would talk about kind of just a general question, like who's in charge? what is the main authority in the life that we live today? And in regard, I want you to go around and I want you to look around and I want you to see who do you consider the higher authority in your life? Like, what is the people next to you? Does your friends count as a higher authority than yourself? Does let's say your boss or your coworkers, do they consider themselves a higher authority or do you consider them a higher authority? For me, I have plenty of coworkers that are amazing and I consider all of them a higher authority than me. And if I needed something, I could always go to them and ask them something. I have friends like you met my friend Brian, Zion Talks. Um, he's amazing. Dude is full of knowledge, and he soon, hopefully, will be a rabbi. And the things that he understands are massive. I have another friend, Angelo, who hopefully will be a guest soon. Is another just bountiful. Like even since he was young, he has been the smartest guy that I know. Like I mean, he's just he's just full of knowledge when it comes to things. I think that we surround ourselves with people that we consider a higher authority than ourselves because we're pack animals. We are people who need a team. We need a pack. We need to find our tribe in life. And I've struggled with that. I've struggled with this a lot. I used to think that I had a tribe, and I kind of noticed that we did tribe-ish stuff, but we didn't really have a tribe. Um, Everyone's scattered to the winds. Everyone's all over the place, and nobody really stays in touch anymore. That's sad, but at the same time, it's life. You know, people at the end of the day, you have yourself and the people that you consider family to be there. I mean, that's really it. You could pass away today or tomorrow and never get all of your answers fulfilled. You could pass away tomorrow or today and never know if you were on the right side of anything. So the reason why we're going over some of these concepts and some of these questions is because when you watch the news, you will see people stand on the belief that they are in the right. And I think sometimes as humans, we don't let go of the ability that we have. We don't walk away from it and say sometimes people can't say, "Hey, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I need help." And people won't do it. They will not do it. They will just go about their day messing up, messing up, messing up, messing up, messing up with no concept of help. No nothing. And I don't think it needs to be like that. I think our superpower that we have in life is to figure things out. We can watch one person fall off of a cliff, which I hate using this analogy, but I like it because it makes sense. I feel bad for the person falling off of the cliff, but in that same regard, I can see this person fall off a cliff and I can say to myself, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go fall off that cliff. So I'm going to start making changes, change my course, and not do what that person just did. And that is our superpower in life. We can see the failures of others and we can utilize that to make tomorrow better or today better for everyone around us and for ourselves. We have concepts that are kind of foreign to a lot of us. They make these laws and patterns, and when you go through political ideologies, political talks, political just the corruption that goes into that sometimes can be so massive and so swaying that you don't have a clue where you stand inside of it. You might think that you're doing the right thing. You might think that you have an understanding of things, but if your authority is coming from someone who doesn't quote unquote have the authority, you're basically following another blind person. So like you being here watching me, I appreciate it. I am not a moral authority at all. So I don't ever want someone to think that I'm trying to make a cult or just because I don't want that at all. Um, I'm trying to get to the bottom of things. It's basically like I want to answer the questions that I have for myself. If you can find the answer that you're looking for along with me, then awesome, we can find it together. Sometimes I will ask you guys, uh, everyone in the chat, everyone that comes up to watch this show, I will ask you if you understand a concept, please in the chat type down, hey, this is what I think of authority. This is where I think authority comes from. I would love to know your views. If you want to be on the episode, if you want to be on another episode about a different topic, anything you need down in the chat, just hit it and I will answer you as quickly as I possibly can. But for myself, like I said, I have friends that I consider the authorities in my life. Um, there is the actual authorities, like as far as police, um, EMS, people that I feel like have, when I see a firefighter and they're going out to do their job, I consider them an authority in what they're doing. Now, what gives them authority? Is it a part me? Do I give this person authority? In a weird way, yes, but in a weird way, no. If I wasn't here, would they still have authority? Absolutely. So, do we really give them authority? I don't really think so. I think that authority personally comes from one belief that you can do something. Um, if you have a person who believes that they can do this, guess what? They kind of can, and it sucks that the world kind of works like that because, excuse me, there is a lot of people who use authority in a bad way. Um, I know it sounds weird. A lot of people always go back to it, but Hitler was a horrible person, and that person used authority in a weird way that he believed what he was doing was the right thing. And I don't understand how you can hurt someone and believe that you're doing the right thing. But again, there's tons of ways that that is possible. If I saw someone hurting a child, if I saw somebody like smacking a woman or going out of their way to rob a friend of mine or something like that, I could hurt them and feel okay about the fact that I'm hurting that person. So there is instances where I feel like, you know, you can righteously hurt someone and it not be so weighed down on your, but again, what gives me the moral authority to feel that way? And I think that that's a society question. I think that when society comes together, they set standards and goals for everyone that lives in society. Um, we have set rules, like let's say a speed limit. When you're driving through a town, there's a speed limit that is agreed upon by who? Who agrees upon these speed limits? Because sometimes I don't believe that it always comes from the people. I know that a lot of people believe that it does, but I don't think it does. This is one of these conversations I would love to have, like let's say an officer that I could speak to and to figure out where does some of these laws come from and what gives them the moral authority to place a law. And I think this is just personally, I think that they're looking out for society's best interest. Now, does that get it like skewed? Absolutely. I think people will take that and run with it in different ways. I think we're living in a time where people look down on authority as a way of, they think that people are abusing it too much. And I guess that could be true, but I don't really seem to see that. Most of the people that I have met that have been, let's say, firefighters, EMS, police officers, like your first responders, for the most part, I'm going to say all of them that I have met have always been really nice people. Like they've never come out of their way to just be aggressive. Now, I have met officers who were in the line of doing something during their duties that treated me with disrespect, but they were doing something. I won't say it was excusable, but the way that they were treating me at the time was because they were doing something else. You see what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's, like I said, I don't think that that's excusable sometimes. But if you're in the middle of battle and you're trying to, maybe that's the problem. I'm looking at it like battle. But sometimes that's the way that the world works, and I think that there's philosophies that a lot of people will instantly understand, and there's ones that we have concepts of, but we don't fully understand it. We can't really fully embrace it because we've never been a part of that world, or we're not really being used in that regard. Like, I don't go around using my authority to tell people what to do. Like, that's not me. At my job, I definitely have sets of authority, and I do tell people what to do. Like, you need to go that way, or you need to go that way. And there's a certain authority that comes to that. And I feel like these jobs are set to help people understand what's going on in the civilization that we live in. So authority to me comes in the fact that we need help. Sometimes we need help. And if somebody comes out of the way and let's say they rob you of your let's say you got a soda. You just went and bought a soda. You're coming out of a store and somebody takes your soda. There's a couple of things that can happen there. Now, there's street justice where you can just hit the person and take your soda back. That's only if you're stronger than that person. That's only if they don't have a bunch of friends. That's only if you feel that you have the authority to basically do that back, which two wrongs never make a right. But at the same time, if somebody takes your soda, sometimes you got to get your soda back, right? Sometimes there's a set of violence that comes on the end of authority. And I think that we as people, civilians, don't really think about that from time to time. Who has the master authority? Like, who has the end all of end all authority over everybody that's in the scope of things? I think when you're set into a civilization and you're making things, you're trying to base the abilities and outcomes for the best for everyone involved. Now, you can't always have everyone get what they want. Like I say, that one of my best quotes is, get 10 people to order a pizza and that pizza will taste like crap. Same thing happens in a society. If everybody wants what they want, the society will look like just utter shit. It will be chaos everywhere. People will just be like, I want sidewalks to be 100 miles an hour. You can drive 100 miles an hour on a sidewalk. That's kind of, it's fun for that guy who wants to ride his motorcycle 100 miles an hour on a sidewalk, but it sucks for the person who's walking on the sidewalk. Like, these two rules are going to conflict each other, and it's just not going to be a good thing. So overall, you have to make cuts that ensures, I'm not going to say 100% what people want, but at the same time, it complies with a fairness. There's a certain fairness that everybody needs to have and understand, that you have general rights that are assigned to you by God, by whatever created this world. You are, for better lack of a term, you are in control of your life. Some say that you have free will, and when we talk about free will, they want to pick up a pen and say, look, I've got free will. I can move it around, right? Like, this moves it around. Yes and no. You have free will, but only to an extent. You have free will towards what has been given to you. Um, I like to think of it as a bumper car scenario. This is a weird scenario that I'm going to throw out there, but free will is like a bumper car arena. It's in this building. You have lots of little bumper cars around there, and you can use your free will anywhere you want to inside of this said arena. But if you try to take your bumper car outside of that arena, it doesn't work. It just shuts down. That's pretty much how your free will works. You have free will inside of a series of places that you're in. You can't dictate what color you were going to be born. You can't dictate what country you were going to be born in. You can't dictate male or female what gender you were going to be. What religion your family was before you even came into existence. You can't dictate that your family's going to have money or means or any of these things. These are all things that were set long before you got there. And this is a really good this is a good question on how you see the world, because I know a lot of people who are very religious, and the way that they see the world is different than somebody who has never been religious. So if you have one person who's obeying all of the commandments plus some that their people have done, they're going out of their way to really try to be an upstanding person. They're going out of their way to learn more rules, more laws. They're just trying to basically be a part of civilization. Then you have people who, like myself, as a child, I didn't understand civilization. I didn't want to be a part of civilization. I always thought that if somebody had authority over me, it meant that I was soft or that I couldn't be a stronger person because somebody had to be in charge, right? Like I don't think that that's what I don't think that that's what was going on. But at the time, as a child, I couldn't see past it. So you have people who they fight the flow. They don't want to be a part of civilization. They absolutely do not want to be told what to do. And the moment that somebody does tell them what to do, they just do the opposite thing. They have no interest in it. And that sucks when these two people meet, because you have one person who's trying their best to be a part of civilization, then you have one person who doesn't even want to be a part of civilization. And when they clash heads, normally it's the civilization that seems to win. Like at the time, the person who is against civilization has power, right? Like a person could come up and just and they could shoot somebody and kill somebody, and that's the end of it, right? And they can walk away and da 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 da. Civilization itself won't stand for that. So what happens is the many will come together and find that one that just did something bad, and they will hurt physically back to that person. And this is where everything kind of gets like a little gray area every now and then, but I think you have to understand the moral obligation that people are doing. Morally, what you do affects others, of course, right? So if you go out and you steal from somebody, you have an internal, some people have an internal struggle with themselves about guilt, or did they do something bad, or there's a moral obligation to feel like you did something. Um, if you're a person who's finding somebody doing something bad, like let's say we're in a store and somebody's stealing and I see this person, I don't necessarily have to stop them, but there's a conflict inside of yourself that's like I want to help, or you know these these types of things happen amongst everybody. Everybody feels this way. I think that um, authority comes from understanding that you're trying to help, and authority comes from power. This is my belief. And power is given to everyone. Unfortunately, it's given to all of us. And some of us use power in a bad way. Some of us think that they can get away with anything and they can just use their power for bad. Or they can use their power for good, but then they turn around and use it for bad anyway. So you get a lot of these religious leaders, I've noticed, will do it a lot. Um, they will tell you one thing, but then they'll live a different way. They'll tell you to live right and that you should help people, and but then they don't do that. Like, if your church has one homeless member, one, then your church has failed. I hate to say it that way, but that is the truth of it. Now, if that homeless person wants to be homeless, that's a different story. I'm not judging your church because you have one homeless person that wants to be homeless. But if you have a homeless person inside of your community, of your church, and he or she doesn't want to be homeless, and they are homeless, and your church isn't helping, you see where I'm going with this. Like, your church isn't doing the right things. And I think that happens far too often. You get a lot of people who say that they want to help people, but then they don't really follow through with it. And the last couple of days, I have been going over what my topics were, what I'm really wanting to do, what is the outcome that I'm looking to achieve for these videos that I'm making. And I think that in the long run, I kind of want to be, I won't say an authority, but I will say that I want to be of help. I want to be of service to the people around me. I like it. I find that it's fun, and I enjoy the conversations that we have about certain topics. And I would like to see the world that we live in. I would like to see it more. What's the word for it? I would like to see it stress free. I know it's not going to happen. I'm not going to make the world stress free, or I'm not going to be able to change the world like that. But for myself and what I do with my time, I would like to use my time to help people. And I met a woman who took me in and taught me things about being a better person that I would have never understood by myself. Um, to myself, I thought that I was like God's avenger. Like, if you did something to upset God, then you would cross me, and then that would be a thing that happens, and you would see me, and that wouldn't be great. That is the idea that I had in my head, and it didn't make me happy. I wasn't making anyone else happy. Um, if you came across me, I was pretty miserable, and I would make other people miserable. And I met a lot of people along the way that have chipped the edges off of me to make me less irritable and horrible to be around. Um, so I think that when we learn something, we spread it. Like, if you learn how to be happy, you you inevitably you show that joy to other people. And I think that that's a worthy cause, and I think that that's a worthy thing that people do. And for me, the woman that taught me how to do this, her name was Pamela Van Horn, and she helped me out a lot. She showed me that what I was doing was not foolish, but it was unrefined. It needed to be cultured and cultivated. It needed to be adapted better and to be more curious in the way that I was understanding the world. So I started to slow down. I started to think about what I was doing. I started to see the world a little bit different than what my own eyes would have done normally by themselves. So by that, the reason I'm saying that is because this podcast is my way of slowing down, saying what I see, because there's a lot of people like me that didn't understand what's going on. So if I'm able to help you in any kind of way, which I'm thankful for if I can, then awesome. I think we will we will answer some really cool, interesting questions. So I think that when a person gets authority, they understand it a little bit more and they use it to help other people. So that's where we're coming back to. I think that authority comes from a place where you're trying to help civilization. That's just my point of view. I don't know if that's 100% true. I would love to understand it better. But okay, let's say we have a firefighter who's about to go into a building. He needs everybody to step back, and he screams out, "Step back." Now, is he trying to tell everyone what to do? Kind of, yes. He's trying to help them. The idea that him screaming out to step back, he's using his authority as a tool to help civilization where something is happening, there is a danger, he's trying to stop the danger, and this is where it goes on to. I think that most of the time, and I won't say all the time, because there's a lot of people who get authority and they let it get to their head and they take it in a really bad way. Most of the people that I've met, though, that have been first responders don't do that. They're actually really good about it, which is surprising because, I hear a lot of people say that, power corrupts absolutely. And I think it's like, I think that happens when people see something and they say, on my time, you're not doing it the correct way. So, like, if if you use or abuse your power in any kind of way, then I think that has went to your head, and power corrupts absolutely. See, so it can happen. And I think that there is people who definitely abuse their power, and those people, I feel like it's very difficult to understand them, and it's very difficult to find them because most people won't go out of their way to look for that unless it happens to them. So I noticed that if you got pulled over by, let's say, a corrupt person, and that person was screamed at you and treated you like crap and just did it just because they wanted to be in authority of the situation, I don't if you went out and you told somebody that this had happened to you, I don't think that the person that you told would actually believe you until it happens to them too. So it's kind of one of those weird things that power sometimes, not only does it corrupt, but it also hides. And I think that it hides when people look the other way. Like, and I don't think that we look the other way on purpose. I think that we are blind to it. And I think that it's like when you buy a car, you never noticed that car before ever, but the day that you bought that car, now all of a sudden this type of car is the only car that you will find out on the road. You will see hundreds just like it all around. And you're like, I never noticed these cars ever, but now that I have one, that's all I ever see. It's like that. It's a situation where people don't mean to be this type of, you know, I'm not going to make an excuse for these types of people. I mean, but again, this comes with the question: what is the authority? Like, who gives these people the authority to make these decisions? What gives these people the authority to make these decisions? When somebody says this person is in charge, who gave them permission to be in charge? What makes them have the ability to do that? When this person has $1 billion, let's say that some person has made $1 billion, what gave them the right to all of a sudden, be a billionaire? They worked hard for it, they did it, they established it, and it's theirs, right? Like, I feel the same thing happens with power, but it's one of those questions that it's like, if you don't have if you don't have it sitting in front of you, it's very difficult to navigate through it, and it's very difficult to say that this is what it is or why a person's acting the way that they would be acting. I think that your moral obligation to society outweighs your selfishness that you're trying to have for yourself. So you have a lot of people who right now who want to do away with guns. And I think that it's admirable, but it's foolish. You have, if you look at the statistics, more people are saved by guns than they are killed by guns. And the authority comes from, let's wait for the brace moment, guns at that point, right? Like the authority at that moment is the thing saving the people that most people don't want to talk about. So you'll have a lot of people who will say that guns are the issue and that they are the problem. But if you lay a gun on a table, it is no danger. It's sitting on a table. The person who picks up a gun and uses the gun incorrectly or does something with it, that is the person who should be in trouble. But instead we blame the gun which was sitting on the table. Doesn't make any sense. Authority is the same way. Authority is just sitting on the table. When somebody picks authority up, they use it. And when they use it, they can use it a couple of different ways. Like any other tool, authority is one of these things that people don't really think about it like it's a tool, but it is. It is a tool to help society for the better. So this has been a interesting little topic, and I think that this is one of those discussions that I would love to hear back from people. If you have an idea on what authority is, please write down in the description. Make a comment. Say what you think. I mean, if you think I'm doing good at the podcast, please tell me that. If you have an idea for anything, don't hesitate to put it down there. If you have a topic or you'd like to be a member on the show, just put it down there in the description, down in the comments. What do you think authority comes from? Is it God? Is it people? Is it power? Is it government? I don't know. But I think together we can kind of get to the bottom of what we would use authority for, or at least to understand it in better terms that way. This is the type of thing that I would like to get to understand, is what community thinks about certain topics. Does the community believe that we can be redeemed? Can we be better towards each other? Can we use authority and other means to make our lives better for tomorrow? Personally, I believe that we can. I believe that people are not, they're not going to keep putting up with the foolishness that's happening right now. And I think that you're either going to be on board with the future, trying to make something better, positive for others to understand and to like, or you're going to go the other way and you're going to get rolled over by society in itself. And I hate to see that, but sometimes that happens. So what happens in the future is kind of up to you. And I think that together we can understand it and maybe make some changes towards the better. And as a society, maybe we can, maybe we can rise above it, and maybe we can find that higher vibration. So until next time, I've been your host, Mike Booth. Join me again. And as always,